Okay, welcome back, everyone. Welcome to this week's session of Ask Bill. All right, so again, if you've got questions, come to Bill Dow at dowpublishingllc.com or come to my Facebook page, but you can just email me there at that email address you're seeing, Bill Dow at dowpublishingllc.com. Questions are already starting to come in. Thank you guys all. It's really super exciting that this series is working. I'm glad you guys like it. So let's jump into this week's sessions. So the first question came from Quora, and again, I'm on Quora a lot, so look me up and find me and search me, but how do you set up a project management office? I love this question. This question comes up time and time again. I absolutely love it, and so I feel there's 12 steps to running and really basically setting up a project management office. And they are: start with a plan, so create yourself a schedule and a timeline of building these components. Step 2, attain executive support. That is critical in setting up a PMO. Step 3, create your PMO staples. This is your charter. This is your budget. These are all the mission statement and the vision statement. Step 4, select your 4 P's of your PMO. This is your project management methodology, or your portfolio, or your program, or your project, or your portfolio and program, right? Step 5, select your PMO model. Are you directive? Are you controlling? Right? Are you an enterprise PMO? Step 6, select your PMO maturity model. This is your categories and your scoring system, right? So you have to have a maturity model because it's all about really understanding how to set up a PMO and how to mature your PMO. Step 7, PMO resources, right? You have to hire people. You got to get people to help you do the job. You're running multiple projects. You're going to need a PMO to help you with that. Step 8, the PMO training, right? So once you have your resources, you've got your training set up. Training on processes, training on software. Step 9, build out your PMO methodologies, right? If you're a program PMO, how do you do program management? If you're a project PMO and you're going to have project managers, how do you do project management? You're going to want to establish that for your PMO. Step 10 is you select your PMO reporting. And so when you think about PMO reporting, what dashboards are you going to get set up? We talked earlier in one of the previous weeks about setting up manual dashboards. Well, this is around getting some of those set up and established, and then eventually getting to like things like dashboards like Power BI or Tableau. The next step is selecting your PMO tools and processes, right? So getting CR processes in place, getting various processes and tools in place, Microsoft Project, portfolio management software, right? So getting your tools and processes, and finally step 12 is your PMO's complete. So there's 12 steps in setting up a PMO. I've documented these to the nth degree in my new book, The PMO Lifecycle, Building, Running, and Shutting Down, on Amazon. Go check that out. But again, these are the 12 steps to running a world-class PMO. Question 2. What are your top tips for being a successful project manager? Communicate, 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 right? This comes from a Facebook group. And so the top skill of every project manager is around communications. And so this is no different. You have to have communication skills. And so when you think about being a successful project manager, it's all about working with your team, all about working with your customers and your executives. And so you have to have communication skills. It all gets much easier if you're a great communicator. You can communicate without authority. That's a big component, but that's a strong skill set you need to have. How do you work with difficult teams? This comes from Facebook as well. It's difficult to work with difficult teams. No, when you think about difficult teams, it's really about the relationships, right? It's really about establishing and driving a good team dynamics. And so there's tons of books, there's tons of information out there about really creating a good team dynamics. I highly suggest you you go read those and research that information. But it comes down to it comes down to relationships, and it comes down to connecting with people. And I struggle with that in some cases too. Some people are very, very difficult to connect with. And so you just got to keep working it and building that common denominator and common relationship. I think Tim Sanders and the great work Tim Sanders does, he's a huge hero of mine. But he talks about, love is the killer app. And he talks about, building those relationships. And I think you can break down an individual team by the individual, build the relationship with each of those individuals, and then you're going to build yourself a solid team. And so go look at the work Tim's done, build that those inner relationships and having those connections with people. And I think it's really, really important to build and help you with difficult teams. Question 4, can a project manager work in a remote environment, or do they have to go into the office? So one of my Dow Publishing customers asked me this question. No, remote is fine, right? I think there are some components where a project manager has to go in the office, but I've known many, many people that have been full-time project managers and very, very successful working remotely. Right, and again, I think there's an aspect of what we do and how we control the project and how we run the project. A lot of that can be done offline, that can be done without people. But again, when I say one of the successful parts of running a project is communications, that's that interpersonal skill. That's going into someone's office and saying, hey, how are you? And really connecting with them. And you're only going to get that when you do that face to face. Now, are there certain situations where project managers are remote and full-time remote? Yeah. So what do you do in that case? Well, turn on the camera, right? You've got a camera. If you don't have a camera, buy a camera. But turn that camera on so you can see, and you can basically see that the people are asking and building that relationship and seeing their eyes and seeing their face to face. And I'll do that really quickly just for fun. Here's me answering your questions, so thank you. But turning the camera on, seeing me face to face, and it really just for fun there. But again, turn the camera on. I think it's really a fun thing to do, and it's going to allow you to connect with people personally. Question 5, how do I get started project management? I actually answered this, but this is a great example of these are the hot things. And I answered this a couple weeks ago, and it continues to come up. So it's obviously something that's hot for people. How do I get started? Take classes, look for project coordinator roles, work with people, nonprofits. Make sure you get the training, you get the PMI certification, the CAPM, the PMP, whatever you can qualify for. But I think it's really, really important to actually get that certification, get that training, and have the basis, and then look for project coordinator jobs, look for vendor companies that hire junior project managers. But I think that's going to give you a great start into the great profession of project management. My name is Bill Dow. Thank you again. Have a great week. I'll see you online. And again, send questions to Bill Dow at dowpublishingllc.com. Thanks. Bye.